What's good, man? What's good, everybody? How's everybody doing, man? What's good? How's everybody? What's up, my guy? What's up, Elijah? How you doing, bro? What's up? What's good, man? How's everybody? We Wednesday. We halfway through the week. We almost there, man. I hope everybody's having a great week so far. And welcome to another episode of the Jayson Estrera Show, where we talk about basketball, sports, and any topic that comes our way as accurate as possible. And today, we're going to be talking about Caitlin Clark going absolutely bananas lately, and A'ja Wilson. And because of her performances, whether or not she deserves to be in the MVP conversation. And we'll also be talking about some of my wish list for the 2024-2025 season of the NBA. It's coming up. It's right around the corner. 2K came out today. The summer has came and went, right? So we're here. The season is going to start soon. So, obviously very, very excited about that. We'll also be talking about there's some guy that was having a conversation with me about my take on Paul George and Tyrese Maxey. So I want to talk a little bit more about that dynamic and what I meant by Paul George being more of a third option player. So, with that being said, let's get right into it, man. We don't have too many topics today, so we are going to start with Caitlin Clark. So, let me see there. I know it's been everywhere if you haven't seen it. The Indiana Fever started off 1-8 to start the year, and since then they've gone, I think, 16-8 or something like that. They just clinched their playoff seed. They are 6th right now in the standings. And Caitlin Clark has been fucking balling. I think they play later today. I'm trying to see their last game. Last game they beat the Wings 100-93. And before that, they had defeated the Chicago Sky, which was a big game. It was the highest, the highest tickets, all that good stuff. So let's see. Against the Wings, Caitlin had 28 and 12 assists. What's funny to me, right? Because they've been winning and she's been playing well. People have all of a sudden forgotten the fact that she still consistently gets 5, 6, 7 turnovers in games. It just goes to show you what winning and, having big games can do. That was sort of the complaint I had, just as a comparison, I guess, right? I remember when Jeremy Lin was going crazy for the New York Knicks, right? Obviously, Linsanity and whatnot. And he was great. He was winning games, right? But me being the basketball junkie that I am, I'm watching the games like, this motherfucker turning the ball over 6, 7, 8 times. So I'm like, wait a second. I know that we're winning. But those turnovers being consistent ultimately isn't a great thing, right? So the game before, let's take a look at this actually, was the big game. Caitlin had the 31-12 game, and she only had 3 turnovers, which was really big. If you guys want to see, this was against the Dallas Wings. Great topic. Your very question is the answer. Thanks, Kyle. As Ellsburn, I hope I said that correctly. It's funny because I had actually released a video around the Olympics, and my take on Caitlin Clark at the time was, because Dawn Staley, I always forget how you say her last name. because she had come out in an interview and said that she feels like they made a mistake in not including her on the Olympic team, I was like, oh, then that means she's easily a top 15, top 12 player in the WNBA. The fact that one of the organizers, a former WNBA player, a great WNBA player that knows what she's looking at and talking about, for her to come out and say that on top of the performances that Caitlin Clark was having, this was before the Olympics. This was during the Olympics, sorry. So this was, prior to these performances. I had already felt like Caitlin Clark was a top 12 player in the WNBA. She's that good, right? Like I said, aside from the turnovers, her shooting percentages have gone up steadily. Her 3-point shooting has gotten better. It really is just the turnovers. But like I also said, right, watching the NBA, for example, when you're a passer and you get a lot of assists and you're a point guard, thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that. Thank you. Especially when you're a point guard and you pass the ball, you think of a Jason Kidd or a Steve Nash. These players rack up turnovers, right? Because they're going to take risks. They're going to throw passes that other players wouldn't throw because they're confident, because, their creativity is taking over. They're going to just try things. And I think that Caitlin Clark falls in that boat. To go from that, right, that she's one of the best players in the WNBA, to MVP consideration, in my opinion, is a leap, right? It is a leap. And I would have to check this. I don't think there's ever been a rookie in the WNBA, right? Like, I don't think that's ever happened. I don't think that's ever happened in the NBA. Because it's just, the idea is there are so many aspects of the game beyond dribbling and shooting that a rookie just doesn't understand, right? And that's something that a lot of us fans aren't privy to, right? Only reason I'm aware of some of these things is by watching interviews and whatnot. But a rookie wouldn't understand how to recover properly on a back-to-back. How to conserve themselves on a 3 games in 4 nights. How to not go out too much when they have 2 or 3 days off. These things come with time and experience, right? So even if you're a great player, as a rookie, oftentimes it's those little things of the game that impact you, right? Those are the little things that can prevent you from having a monster game, right? But clearly, Caitlin Clark, as the season is progressing, seems to be getting better, right? Now, does she deserve MVP consideration? I think deserve is the wrong word, right? I think a lot of folks will get offended or they'll be up in arms because some people think that she deserves it. I think that she's earned it. I do think that she's earned the right to put her name in that hat. Now, does that mean that I think she'll be the MVP? No. Because there's a lady in Las Vegas that has been doing everything in her power to keep that team afloat. And I think the reason why you can throw Caitlin Clark in this conversation is if you take Asia Wilson off of the Las Vegas Aces, if you take Caitlin Clark off of the Indiana Fever, then both teams would be struggling to even make the playoffs right now. Struggling. And that's not to say that the other players on that team aren't very good to great. You know, obviously the Aces have dealt with injuries all year. So that's a part of my argument for A'ja Wilson, right? They've had to deal with injuries all year. So she's been forced to give out more output. And she's done that. Whether it's points, rebounds. I was looking at it. She's first in scoring, right? She's number 1 in scoring in the WNBA. Here, let's take a look at this right here. She's number 1 in scoring. Points per game, she's number 1. Rebounds, she's second. Blocks, she's first. Steals, she's tied for second, right? I know they're saying over here fourth, but she's tied for second. Field goal percentage, she's 5th. I mean, her team is in 4th place right now in the playoff picture. You can't... I get that Caitlin has been phenomenal. But 27.5, 12.1 rebounds, and 2.7 blocks per game are just simply unreal. Right? And for the Aces, it's about what their playoffs really look like. They're gonna get there, right? And their story has been their leader, their best player, has sort of carried this team to a 4th place, seeding in the playoffs. You know, and had they been healthy all year, able to get their reps in time, they could have been flirting with, you know, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. They're right there. So I don't think you could take that away from A'ja Wilson. I know a lot of people have been talking about Napisha Collier. I feel like Breanna Stewart hasn't been in a lot of these conversations either. So for me, Caitlin Clark is damn near 3rd. Because of the impact that she has on this team. Now, excuse me, if you were to ask me in terms of this race, if her shooting percentages and her turnovers were any better, I think you could legitimately put her in the MVP. Legitimately. But I think if you have her win it right now and she has her, what is it, like, I'm trying to see what her actual numbers look like right now. I mean, it's a lot. It's better than what it was when it started. She's at 18.7, 42.4 from the field, 34 from 3, 89.7 from the line, averaging 5.6 rebounds, 8.4 assists, 5.5 turnovers, 1.4 steals. It's really solid. Is really, really solid. And like I said, I do think that she's earned consideration. I don't want to have this conversation without also giving credit to her teammates, because they're able to play great because of Caitlin. And I'm talking about Kelsey Mitchell, who's been phenomenal, and Aaliyah Boston. Both really good one-on-one players. Aaliyah Boston, good at one-on-one in the post. Kelsey Mitchell just got a handle. She has that hang dribble to a T. And lefty too. So they've been really great. And they've also opened it up for Caitlin. So having those two on her team, you know, that's why she's able to get these assists, right? You couldn't get those many assists if everyone couldn't shoot, or you just had straight bums either, right? So yeah, I do definitely think that Caitlin Clark has earned her way to MVP consideration. And with that being said, I think she clears the Rookie of the Year. I think at this point, it's hers to lose. Angel Reese has been great. However, Angel Reese could be having the year that she's having, right? If they don't have a Kennedy Carter doing what Kennedy Carter does, their wins and losses, I think, would look totally different. And before the trade, Marina Mabrey was, getting buckets for them as well. So in terms of, scoring over the last 15 to 20 years, I feel like the media has tried to put this narrative that's, defense wins championships, not realizing you have to still score, right? Like, you can't just be a defensive team. If you can't score, it don't mean shit. So that side of the basketball for Chicago, right? Sometimes I feel like people forget and miss out on. Not to take anything away from what she's done. I think her talent lets her be effective game in and game out, regardless of what's going on, which is very important. I just think what Caitlin does is just, she is unreal. She is actually unreal. Let me turn this vibrate. All right, cool. Boom. So the next topic, instead of speaking of media-driven topics, I don't know if anybody had read this. But there was an article going around that Team USA had lost $60 million in endorsements, and they worded it like this: after leaving Caitlin Clark off of the women's national basketball team. And here it was. Here, let me show y'all the post. Bam. So it was posted by America's Last Line of Defense. They said 11 companies have dropped their sponsorship of USA basketball in the past few days. They've disappointed a lot of people, claiming Team USA loses $60 million in endorsements after the Caitlin Clark snub. We can't get back that decision. So, and this had obviously started a wildfire on the internet. Come to find out that this particular page, their entire deal is that they put satire on the internet. This was completely fake news, right? And I'm covering it because, one, I think it's really important, and here's why. In the times that we're in, where everyone talks about you have access to the internet, you have access to information, right? And they're right. But is that information fact or fake? And this conversation is important because it leads to the literacy of the consumers that watch the sports, right? When you see athletes, professional athletes, talk about fans as casuals, as because they don't know any better, because blah, 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 blah. A part of the problem is fake news. Now, you can blame the people that read them and eat them up because they're not doing their due diligence and researching, right? But to an extent, if it's a hobby, if it's something that people do in their passing, they're scrolling on Instagram, on their casual time, maybe their brain's already checked out, right? They go to sports as their time away from work to not overstimulate their brains. And you have folks. It was one thing before where they were spewing bullshit on ESPN, but nowadays it's the time of fake news and putting out fake stories, i.e. the Devin Haney thing, him asking for the video of his fight to get taken down. And I got killed for that because I had put out something about it. And like I said, that was of my own negligence, right? But it leads to this conversation about information, right? Of what is or isn't the right piece of information. Who are you getting the information from? And can we trust these people, right? I'm here to try to provide perspective. I'm not in those rooms, right? So I'm here to provide perspective. So if someone gives us this piece of information, I guess we just have to do a better job of fact checking it, right? But here's the thing. Why did this get so big? Right? This is the other part. Why did people believe this? Now, the number was really wild. 60 million is a lot of money. Do I think that a sponsor or two may have pulled out because Caitlin Clark wasn't on the team? Yeah, I think that's very possible, right? And I think that's where this comes from, right? It wasn't just a lie that made no sense, that didn't connect with the context of the situation. If anyone has, I don't know if you guys haven't done so, whatever your local team is, right? Go look at the WNBA tickets. Go look at the WNBA tickets against every other team, and then go look at the tickets against the Indiana Fever. It's mind-blowing. I looked it up locally against the Dallas Wings. Regular games against the reigning world champions, the Las Vegas Aces, were $36. Against the Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark, they were $180. That's a crazy markup. Just goes to show you the impact that she's actually having, right? Like I said, you can fudge, like when it comes to, I say this in music all the time, you can fudge those numbers, right? Whatever the streaming number is, to me, it's not that important. But when you go to an actual show and you see there aren't any open seats, that goes to show you how big an artist or a person really is. And every time they pan around an Indiana Fever game, that shit is filled. And, you know, we have to be careful of the fake news, because especially in a lot of these cases, they're an exaggeration of the truth, right? They're lies, but they exaggerate something that we can all see happen. I can see a sponsor pulling out because Caitlin Clark is not on the team. When the roster gets out and everybody finds out like that, I'm sure somebody made a phone call. Like, what the fuck? And so, and then I'm sure there's people on there reading all the comments online and the people debating about who is or isn't, or whether she should have been on it or not been on it. You know, we're in a time now where they have people that work and watch these things and follow these things. So they're aware of these situations. I'm sure something happened. I'm sure somebody made a phone call. And I'm sure her not being on the team had an effect. That's why there were so many comments and questions about it, because there was an impact. So be careful of fake news, especially when it's an exaggeration of reality. So, we gotta be careful of that right there. Now, I know we're all WNBA'd out today, so with the Indiana Fever clinching a playoff berth, this puts them at, let me see, do I have it right here? I don't think I have it right here. Oh, here's the standings. So currently they are 6th. Right? And so I was just reading up on this. The way their playoff system works is it's the top 8th seeding. The top 8 seeding, regardless of the conference, goes. Excuse me. And Indiana has just clinched theirs. 7 and 8. 7 is looking like it's going to be Phoenix Mercury. Or no. Who the fuck is? Oh, I am right. The Phoenix Mercury, and it looks like in the 8th seed will either be the Chicago Sky or the Atlanta Dream. So the way this shakes out, if the playoffs were to start today, or if the seedings were to stay just like this, the Fever would go up against the Minnesota Lynx, who I think they've split their series 1-1 this year. Minnesota has obviously been one of the top teams this season. Naphisha Collier has been an MVP candidate. But like I said, I think right now we're going to see how good Caitlin Clark really is, right? The fact that we get to see her in the playoffs in her first year, right? Everyone was saying, oh, it's going to take her time to adjust. It's going to take her time to do this, blah, 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 blah. And here she is, right? She came out like, boom. She's like, I'm here, motherfucker. She's like, I'm here. What's up? What's happening? And everyone else has been forced to adjust. So I'm really excited to see how that shakes out. The games are gonna get tighter. It's a best of 3 is the first round, and then 5 in the semifinals, best of 5, and then 5 in the WNBA finals. So I'm really excited to see just how they come out of this, right? Can the Indiana Fever make a run? They were saying, I believe it was this is Seattle. I think it's Seattle. Let's see. Bro, I swear I just seen it earlier. Let me see if it was like on Instagram or something. But they're only the 3rd team in the WNBA to start 1-8 and go 16-8 since that time and make it into the playoffs. And like I said, one of those teams, I believe it was Seattle. In like 2002, ended up actually making the WNBA finals. Now, we were just talking about numbers and the impact that Caitlin Clark has had. Don't even picture winning it, right? Just imagine Caitlin Clark gets Rookie of the Year, is in the MVP conversation, maybe she gets 3rd, and makes the WNBA finals. Just imagine that, right? Everything that they've said about her ends up being true. I think that would be massive for the WNBA moving forward. Not just for her, but for the WNBA moving forward, because all of the narratives and all of the things that have come out of this past season now gets multiplied for the next year, right? So, you know, I do think it'll be very tough for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. You know, that finals run is going to be tough. But if they were able to fuck around and make that run, wow. Talk about her stardom. I don't know if we've seen anything like that shit. Her stardom would be out of here. Everything would be, talk about expedited shipping. Her shit would be Amazon. She would be 2-day shipped. Like, she gonna be a star, a superstar tomorrow if she were to do something like that. Because she's already right there. All right, so now moving on to the NBA. We've talked quite a bit about the WNBA. Now we're gonna move on and talk a little bit about this NBA season and some of my wish list, right? Because, you know, us as fans, right, we are at the mercy of the sport, right? We just want them to do well, right? Outside of us wanting our teams to win, I don't know if we ever really think about what we hope to see out of the league or what we hope to see out of certain players or whatnot, right? So I'm going to just run through some shit. Raptors at 4. God damn it. Yo, you going to be holding on to that shit all year, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'll say though, RJ was looking good on Team Canada on some of them games. RJ was looking real nice. Now, for me, this is my number one on my list, and this is as a Knicks fan. My number one on my wish list right now, bro, for Ja and Zion to take that step and really move towards like the top 7 players in the league. That, and I'll tell you guys why, right? That's me hype. I'll tell you guys why. I think we need a Ja Morant and a Zion Williamson. I really, really do. I really think that the NBA needs them to be popular to maintain this success, right? And I say that because we have Steph, Kevin Durant, and Bron are all pretty much on their way out, right? When you look at the players right behind them, right, we're looking at a Jayson Tatum, which we've obviously everyone hates, right? We're looking at a Luka Doncic who's massively popular, right? But I feel like as of the last year or so, the narrative on him has started to shift a little bit. Sort of when it was similar to James Harden. He was like, oh my God, he's the best thing ever, to, oh, he's being a ball hog, right? It happened overnight. It felt like, and I see a similar shift happening with Luka. And I think right now the NBA could use a really good comeback story. And I think that Ja Morant and Zion Williamson not only have the opportunity to have this amazing comeback story that they could look on at the end of their career as this great thing in a documentary, but they also have the popularity and the game that can, I'm not going to say that they're Steph and Bron, but they can sort of ease into that space, right? because the way Ja plays, his layups, his athleticism, and basically the same thing for Zion. It's exciting for the game, right? In a game that's transitioned to all three-pointers and no mid-range, no dunks really, we need two players that don't really care about all of that three-point stuff, right? Just in terms of the game itself. To have those two guys competing for MVPs, being in the conversation as the top 5 players, maybe they can affect the way that the game is being played and bring more balance to it instead of this over saturation on 3-point shots. Ja's about to go crazy. They forgot about him fast. He will also get a ton of credit for his team. The whole team was injured this year. He'll come back and get most of the credit. That's facts. That's facts. Listen. That's number 1 on my list. Number 1, because like I said, I'm looking at the NBA moving forward. And I think not only in this year, right? But this also, and I'll talk about this in a second. Looking forward to the Olympics, I want, those two guys are the two names I'm going to be looking for to really take control of that Olympic experience, right? The other one on my 24-25 NBA wish list is, this one is selfish. I was saying it last night. I really hope that the Knicks go to the Eastern Conference Finals and at least at the very least go 5 games. Depending on the team, I'm assuming it's gonna be like the either the Celtics or the Bucks or a healthy Sixers team, right? I think the Knicks are great. It's going to take time. We go up against a Boston team. I don't love those chances. Knickerbockers, yes sirski. Yes sirski. I do think that against a Sixers and against a Milwaukee Bucks, I'm be honest, I think we have a much better chance, right? And the reason I say Eastern Conference Finals minimum 5 games is this, right? I was of the mindset that we should have made the Eastern Conference Finals this year. What the hell does that even mean? Are you burning a porcupine? But obviously the Indiana Pacers were able to pull out that series against us. But still, I felt like we should have had it. We had injuries, whatever. You could call it what it is. We lost, right? It's all about taking steps, right? I'm a realistic type of fan. I understand that they're not just all of a sudden going to go and... It would be nice if they can go and make the jump and win the NBA Finals. But typically, it takes steps, right? So the next step would be to go and make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I say minimum 5 because I would imagine that we're going to be going up against a really good team. 5 games means that, if we're on the winning side, that chances are we're not going to just sweep a really good team, right? They're going to get at least 1. But even if we're losing, right, minimum 5 means that we're legitimately competing, I think. And we have something to build off of to get to the NBA Finals. It takes steps, right? You got to take your steps to get there. And I think that we are on the path right? You just got to gain some experience. You got to have guys in these scenarios and in these situations, and you just get better and better and better. So, hopefully the New York Knicks can make it at least to the Eastern Conference Finals and take any of those 3 teams or whoever makes it there. We go at least 5 games. After that, we're playing with free money, right? So that's for my Knicks, right? Now for the game itself, I hope that Draymond stops fighting people. I hope that Draymond stops doing that UFC shit. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. That's a real thing on my wish list because it hurt my soul to see Steph damn near about to cry on the sideline, dog. Yo, they've lost so many games. Steph has got hurt. They've lost in the finals. And it was Draymond going crazy that damn near had that man crying. And then Steph left. I mean, not Steph. And then Clay left. So for the love of God, Draymond, keep your fists down. Open palms. Don't touch nobody. Like, keep your hands to yourself, dog. Like, what are we doing? I do think also on a different note, I do think a big trade will happen this year. I don't know who. I know there's been a lot of movement around, but I do think a big trade will happen. I don't know if it's gonna be like a Jimmy. I don't know if they'll eventually find something for Zach LaVine, as somebody, but I do think a trade is looming. So we'll look forward to that, and I hope that it's a trade that can actually. I don't think the 3 work without all of them. What you mean? Oh, the Warriors. Yeah. Even them talking about getting Lauri Markkanen, like I was trying to picture it, and I mean, I guess Lauri would have had to play the 3. Draymond would have played the 4. I don't know, man. Draymond, I feel like at this age has lost, what little athleticism he did have, and it just makes playing his role a lot more difficult. So, yeah, I don't think the Warriors are looking good moving forward. Hey, who knows? Maybe Steph gets moved at some point in the next couple years. But like I said, I do think a big trade is gonna happen this season. I really do. So that's something to look forward to. But yeah, those are some of my 24-25 NBA wish lists. Let me know if some of y'all got anything y'all hope to see, y'all want to see. I was going to say something about the referees. I hope that there's less bad calls. I hope that they're better. But if you guys, I've already spoken at length about that. I don't think that's going anywhere. I have a whole video on it where I have this theory that it adds to their impression farming. So I don't think bad refereeing, like I said, is going anywhere. I think it adds to their numbers. It is what it is. Knicks in the finals, bro. I don't think the world is ready for that shit, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think the world is ready for that shit. The Knicks fans have been talking shit without a finals victory. Don't let us get an NBA finals. Don't let us get an NBA championship with a short, chubby motherfucker as our best player. Y'all will never hear the end of it, bro. Never. Bron to do something crazy so I can see what the haters say. Oh man. I would love, I would love to. It's not my goal to like interview people, but I would love to interview Bron because I've been a Bron hater for a lot of my life. They were lit on the internet. Yeah, they were fucking lit, bro. They damn near they bum rushed the Wells Fargo arena. Like, bro, those guys are crazy. All right, now let's move on to this topic because I touched on it a little bit with this wish list. Someone that said OG on a nobody. They were trolling, yeah, like they're the fuck Trae Young chant, yeah, they're crazy, dog. They're crazy. Knicks fans are something else. That's what I'm saying. They shouldn't have let us get a good team, bro. The NBA fucked up letting us get a good team. They tried their best to not let us have a good team with Melo, bro. They tried. They had us give every draft pick humanly possible to the Nuggets. Like, bro. Like, Melo was elite. They did their best, man. Amari punched a fire extinguisher. It was a whole thing. But thank God we're here. Anyway, I was talking a little bit about Zion Williamson and Ja Morant. And how important they are to the game itself moving forward, right? Call it what you want. The NBA is entertainment. And all of these guys have different characters and different roles that they have to play in this thing called the NBA. Right? Someone has to be the hero. Someone has to be the villain. Someone has to be the master. Like, all of these different things, right? And so that's why I think it's very important for Ja and Zion to come back and to come back strong. What we're also seeing right now is the end of an era. Now, I don't remember. Maybe I'm just not remembering, right? But the way that they had the conversation right after the Olympics about what the 2028 team could look like, right? And obviously, people didn't have Bron, Steph, and KD on that team for obvious reasons. But we're in a time now where they're not only it's not likely that they're going to be on the team, not just because they're older players in the league. There's a good chance they're not in the NBA 4 years from now, which is a wild thought, right? It's a wild thought, which makes this time between the Olympics this past summer and the next one a crucial moment in the NBA. These 4 years is the transition period. And some people aren't going to want to hear this, right? And it's already happened. It's been happening. They're NBA players. But what we saw with Anthony Edwards and Kevin Durant in the finals, of Anthony Edwards yapping at his guy, I think we're going to see more of that in the coming years with KD, Bron, and Steph. It's a transition period. The new guard is coming in to take everybody's spot, right? That's the reality of the situation, right? You first, I gotta come take your spot. You're not gonna give it to me. They're not just gonna hand it to me. I have to take it. And I don't know if players get the sense. I don't know if the teams or people around the NBA. This is just the vibe that I've been getting just watching everything from the outside, right? This seems like a time where, like I said, we're going to see the old guys are better. They just don't have the support systems. It makes Ant, Ja, etc. look like they are further along. But it's that, but it's also, to your point, they're just older. You know, it was like when Kobe gave Jordan like 50 or 45, and like the guy was like 40. like, like, you know what I'm saying? But guys are gonna give them that work, right? Father Time, like we always say, it's undefeated. So I'm curious as to, like I said, what players are going to step up. I'm sure there's going to be an unlikely player that's going to come out of nowhere and surprise the hell out of everybody. But like I said, it's going to take time. And I'm really excited. I think Paolo needs to get some shines. Paolo Banchero needs to get some shine up in Orlando. Darius Garland has been looking really fucking good. You know, so on and so forth, right? So, like I said, I'm curious to see who we're gonna see step up, because the spots are gonna be opening up soon, right? And we know from watching the game that even when they retire, for those couple of years right after, the conversation is still going to be Steph is the best, Bron is the best, KD's the best. And it's up to these up-and-coming players to take that narrative away, basically. You think Garland's going to fizzle out? We going to see. I will say in his first playoff series, there was a lot of moments out there where I was like, you could go, like you could hit this go button. And it seemed like even Donovan Mitchell was looking at him like, all right, I got a 50 piece in my pocket, but like I need you to go get yours, right? Like I feel like there was a point where Mitchell was looking at him like, motherfucker, I can't score 50 every game. And, you know, kind of looking at his guys to step up, Garland being one of them. So I'm curious how all of these guys shake out, man. The NBA, like I said, I think is really exciting right now. Because it's in this period where we're trying to see who is or isn't going to step up, while we're seeing what players later in their careers are going to win a championship. There's all of these stories and narratives that, you know, whatever you want to follow, you could follow it, right? But yeah. Paolo, Scotty, Keegan M, Thompson twin. Yep. Also for for the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? Which one of those guys is gonna come out as the legit second option, right? Who's gonna come out and rise to, okay, Shea got his shit. All right, come give me the motherfucking ball, right? Who's going to step up into that role, right? Right now, it's like those are some of the top. I'm excited to see. Facts. I agree. OKC, like I said, they've looked good. I think they just need to kind of figure it out. You know, it's in theory, it's nice. You know, when some people talk about, oh, everyone touches the ball, everyone can score every game. In theory, it sounds great, right? In real life, that's just not how it works. Not on a consistent basis. Someone assumes the number one position. Someone else assumes the second option position, the third, and so on and so forth. Now, in a certain game, can it maybe mumbo jumbo? Yes, right? But something that some fans don't realize is how important it is to go into a game having not just a game plan, but knowing what you're going to go to, right? So much of the game, Kevin Durant has said it, it looks freestyle to some folks, but it's really not, right? And so knowing who you're going to go to in certain situations simplifies the game. And for the players that don't think the game very well, giving them less to think about helps. And that goes a long way for it. J-Dub, I think, will develop even more to maybe a Jaylen Brown Jayson situation. That would be cool. I will say Chet Holmgren, if he can figure out his game to be more dominant on offense, because I think on defense he's very good. He's obviously just not strong enough. But movement, timing, getting the shots, I think Chet Holmgren is very, very good. So he has a good shot. I'm curious as to how he's going to develop moving forward as well too. So now, if you guys have been watching, it's that time of the year where, people are showing their summer runs. Let's see. There's Kevin Durant was in one. Bronny, we're in that time, right? And it would have happened sooner, but obviously, the playoffs kind of fucked that whole thing up. I mean, not the playoffs, sorry, the Olympics kind of fucked it all up, right? So let's take a look at some of these. I said that earlier in this year, but in the playoff, he banged down low. I was impressed. He still needs to get stronger, though. Oh, absolutely. I do think, right, there is... Because if you haven't watched it, whose podcast is it? I think it was on Paul George's podcast. Chet Holmgren was on it. Just the way that Chet thinks about the game, I think is very impressive. He was talking about, developing his game because he understands he's not just going to gain 40 pounds in a couple months. Like, we also got to understand body types, the way every body type is different, right? His body could just be harder to gain weight. Also, gaining weight means maybe changing his game a little bit. Maybe he gets bigger, but he's not as quick or as fast. So that takes some of the game that he's developed away. So really, I like I said, I just want to see how he's developing. Keep working on the things that he already does well while he's getting stronger and whatnot. But let's take a look at this shit right here. Bop. My God, bro. Like, my God. First of all, I watched this whole thing already before. How the fuck is he wearing a hat? A fitted hat, and it ain't going nowhere. What the hell? What the... Nah, bro. Look at that move, Elijah. You seen that move by DG? You seen that shit? God damn. But actually, let's take a look at this shit too.
We all got two? We all got two, right?
This shit loud as hell. First of all, his bronze are cold.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4,
Cash.
4, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4,
Bop.
3.
Yo, I love watching this shit. I could watch this shit all day, bro. I could watch this shit all day long, man.
2, 4.
I'll get another Bronny shot in here. Let's go.
4, 3, 2.
Hit. Give me that. So we're obviously in that time, and the question is, why don't summer runs translate into the NBA, right? There's some, I get that there's some folks that get confused by this, right? They're like, how is this person so good doing X, Y, and Z in these runs, but you know, they get into an NBA game, it's different, right? Now, the first thing is first, right? Now and obviously I have never played in the NBA. But they've spoken a lot about the fact that when you get into that arena, you see everyone in the crowd, you see all these celebrities, you see people eating popcorn, drinking, the noise, you hear the name, music, the entire atmosphere. Right? Certain guys don't respond to it well. They talked about the bubble. What's his name? Homeboy from Indiana. Fuck, why am I blanking? During the bubble, he was getting like 40s, 50s. He was going crazy. Go back to regular NBA. 15 points a game, 12 points, just regular, right? That pressure, or playing under that pressure, there's some people that feel it and there's guys that just don't. So on that level alone, certain guys can't get into their bag the way they do in the summer runs, where it's just a bunch of hoopers they're playing. Right? It's not the fans. There's no contracts involved. They're just hooping. Right? So playing in that space is very different from playing on the floor in the NBA. Now, the other part is this, right? Each NBA team has their game plans. We just talked about the hierarchy, right? Only one person on that team, for the most part, has a green light on each team, right? Unless, you know, when you start getting to these better teams, when they have multiple stars that have the green light, is when you start, it's different. But for the most part, teams have one, maybe two guys with a green light. Everyone else has to fall in line and fit into the system, right? And some of that has to do with, when you get to the NBA, each individual player's game gets broken down. Right? Not just how good of a shooter are you, how good of a shooter are you from these spots, from that spot. What spot are you good at? What spot are you not good at? All of these things get broken down into numbers. And yeah, maybe in these runs you're looking good. We also forget the fact that during the runs, we're not watching the full game. We're not seeing their misses, their turnovers, their mistakes. Someone gets blown by. We don't see that consistently because we're only seeing the highlights. And so we don't know if they're practicing bad habits, right? There's also a lot of fans out there that have this illusion that just because someone makes a shot that it's a good shot or that it was a good play. No, sometimes it wasn't good, right? There's that part of it too. But when you get on NBA teams that have structure, that have systems in place, certain person's going to shoot this many shots, you're going to shoot this many shots, that's how the game gets broken down. That's why if you've ever heard a player say in the NBA, there's no secrets, right? They've talked about, why don't you guys hide your plays? Why don't you guys mask them? Because there's no point. Every team knows what every other team does. Every player knows every other player's tendencies, what they do well. Everything gets broken down. And so when you get to the highest level, if someone on the team, even if you think you do it well, if someone on the team does it better than you, they're going to get those shots. They're going to get that spot over you. It's just how it works out. It just is what it is. And then in these summer runs is when these guys get to break out their games that they had, up until the NBA. And we get to see people doing crazy shit. Some people wonder why some of these guys go to the Drew League and drop 40. It's because they're isolation guys in the NBA. They just aren't allowed the same room as the star player on their team. Maybe they're not as efficient. Maybe they're smaller. Maybe they're, for whatever the case is, right? They say, okay, here, you could go isolation in your 10, 15 minutes or whatever. Go do your thing. The other 30, 40 minutes, we have another guy for that. And that's how the game shakes out. Right? And so that's why all of these guys don't translate, right? Though obviously there's other factors in it too. But yeah, that's a huge part as to why, these summer runs don't necessarily translate to the NBA. Now, I wonder if I could find it here actually. Here, I think it's right here. Shout out Malachi Flynn, the Crimson Flynn, 50 in a program, Raptors legend. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And also that's what gives these regular people the illusion that, I could play in the NBA, because they don't realize that if you're not a star player in the league, you have to play with restraint. You have to play, you're not in super aggressive mode, because you have to play a role. So let's take a look at this really quick. Yeah, this dude, because I was basically saying Paul George makes for a great third option on the Philadelphia 76ers. And this guy said he's not a third option. He said Maxey was a second option and they lost to the damn Knicks. That's not happening if that's PG. It's Embiid, PG, Maxey, or they fall. You could read, what I said there, but I'll talk about it anyway. What this guy doesn't understand is third, like the option doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that Maxey is a better player, right? Because here's the thing, right? If you tell a player something like this, right? Like Joel Embiid has the ultimate green light on that team. Joel Embiid can pretty much do whatever the fuck he wants, right? He just go. If you now tell a Tyrese Maxey, you can shoot at most 15 shots a game. What does that do to his game? Someone that's super fast, off the dribble, can shoot shots and get into the paint. And if you do that because you want Paul George to get his 18 to 20 shots, you have now created a Tyrese Maxey that is in reserve mode. And my point to this guy is the impact that Tyrese Maxey, PG should be a 3 option. It would amplify him. Smaller responsibilities make some guys more dangerous, like Olympic Melo. That's facts. You know, to me, the other part of it too is Maxey applies pressure on the rim. People don't understand this concept, right? If you tell Tyrese Maxey he can only get 12 to 15 shots a game, guess what? He's not going to be in attack mode the whole game now. You take away his rim runs. You take away him attacking people off the dribble, trying to get to the rim every time. He was a nightmare dealing with going to the rim. Now you compare that to a Paul George, who at this point in his career, he's getting a little bit older, is a methodical isolation player. That's what he is. He's gonna catch the ball in a space. He can score in a phone booth, which means he don't need all these plays ran for him to get his points. He can get his points off of, throw me the ball last second, I can go make something happen. Off of rotations, he can get an isolation, make a move on a player. Pick and roll. He is in a much better spot, not just in his game, but in his career, to be able to fill the gaps, right? Tyrese Maxey is not a triple threat, 3 dribble isolation scorer that Paul George is. But like I said, you can't take away Maxey's impact. It don't mean he's scoring every time, but you need a Tyrese Maxey to be able to attack the basket and get into the rim so you can get shots for all of these guys. That's what this guy wasn't understanding. And if you really wanted to dig deeper into it, if it wasn't for Joel Embiid being injured, there's a good chance that the 76ers beat the New York Knicks. There's a good chance. He was giving us 35 on one leg. Had 51 game. So to act as if they lost because of Tyrese Maxey is ridiculous. Could he have played better? Yeah. But he wasn't the reason why they won or lost. Yeah, actually, he won them a game, damn near, with that big-ass 3. And if we take a look at Paul George's career, he's had some stinkers in the playoffs. Let's just call it what it is. He's played well, but he's also had some really bad spots. So to pretend as if that's just an instant lock for Paul George, like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's give this young dude an opportunity. Let's see what he actually does. So, yeah, I think that dynamic gets lost, right? Even thinking back on the Warriors, for example, with Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. Now, I'm not saying Maxey and Paul George are Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. People relax. But what I mean is, a lot of the plays were still catered around Steph Curry, right? First option to look for was Steph Curry. It wasn't Kevin Durant's fault that he always had a mismatch, that he found his flow into the system. And on top of that, in spots, he could go one-on-one and find his spots. That's why they were like neck and neck in points per game for the season. Because Kevin Durant was good enough to where you can run a couple plays for me, but I can figure my way through this game. And obviously, the more experience that they got, Steph realized, he's like, okay, I can get mine, but I got to give this guy his too. Right? And if that's the dynamic, then they'll learn that. But, even then, you couldn't take away Steph's ability to run off the ball and force the defense to react. Excuse me. And you can't take that away from Tyrese Maxey either. If Maxey's coming down the floor, just giving the ball to Embiid, giving the ball to Paul George, and not attacking, it takes away his valuable assets. Maxey is becoming one of my favorites. He has done things the correct way. He stayed done, was an understudy, and meet every challenge he is presented. We asked for 30 in big game. He gave us 40. He's definitely nice. Facts. We should be giving him flowers as well too. Yeah, man. And I think him, they have, Jared McCain to try to relieve a little bit of pressure. I think they got a good little squad there in Philly. I'm not going to lie. They got a nice little squad. They got a nice little team over there for the 76ers. Now, oh, that's facts. That's big facts. That's actual factual. Do I want to table this? I think I'm going to table this topic. I just realized my ass has been yapping for an hour 22. What the fuck? We was yapping today on like fucking 7 topics. Goddamn. But yeah, I'm super excited for obviously the end of the WNBA. We're getting into the playoffs. I think they have like 6 or 7 games left before the playoffs start. Obviously 2K came out today, which means the NBA season is right around the corner. I don't believe it's championship or bust, but if Philly doesn't win this year, they probably never will. Listen, man, the season's about to start, and Embiid's body and Luka's body don't look any different. And I really do think that they need to get in a different type of shape for their team to have success. It just is what it is, right? The role that they play on their teams requires so much. And they're able to get through it off of just pure skill and talent sometimes. And they're getting to this part of their career where they need to be able to rely on their endurance and on their, being in shape to just literally outlast folks. Because in their current state, they're MVP guys. Right? So, I that's what I think is going to be, that will be the indication for me on whether or not these guys will be championship ready. I do think it comes down to literally Joel Embiid and Luka's body. And I'm not saying for them to come out and have 6 packs and all this shit. It was literally just as simple as when that one year, I keep saying, when Jokic came in one year and lost weight, and we're like, oh shit, where the hell did the rest of him go? It was like one of those. And he's been MVP ever since. Just phenomenal. Just able to run up and down the floor all game long, reliable, fourth quarter, clutch, like literally everything that you could ask for from this man. So that's what I want to look for also. That probably should have been on my wish list, but that's not going to happen. It's the season about to damn near start, and neither of those look like they've gotten in better shape than they were in June. So I don't know if we can really hope for that. But for now, that's going to do it for me. I'm going to get off right now. Thank you guys for hanging out with me as always. I really appreciate y'all. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. It really helps the channel out. Like I keep saying, we're trying to take this shit to Mars. But thank you guys again as always. You guys could have been anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you guys. Peace, 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 peace. I'll see y'all later. Y'all have a great rest of your day, man. Later. Peace, peace. Thank you.